Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Super Bowl weekend. And I'm just excited about seeing Bad Bunny perform today. Um, I need some music. I need some fun in my life. We all do. And we know that the devil's busy. And the devil stays busy and tries to keep us busy. Um, Figuring out why we black and brown people are targeted by folks who have been doing nothing but exploiting us for over 400 years on our own homeland. Um, Today, as usual, I'm asking everyone to please hit that like and share button, and to subscribe if you can afford a paid subscription. Please do. That keeps our channel afloat. This is Anita Talks History and Genealogy. Although today the topic is a little more solemn, but it is still historical. Everything that's happening to black and brown people in this country, and I would say in a lot of the world, in most of the world, is historical. So there is nothing new under the sun. And I don't want to neglect to mention that there's merchandise that you can purchase for Anita Talks History and Genealogy. Although, it's up to you whether you purchase it or not, but there's some really nice mugs, especially for you folks that are out there in the cold. Different sizes of mugs. There's nice, there's hoodies, shirts, scarves. It's a lot of good stuff. And you purchasing that keeps my channel going. Today is very solemn for me. It is the birthday of my oldest grandson, Kerry Baxter Junior. He would be 35 years old today on February the 8th. So today is his celebration of his life. But I also, besides celebrating his life, because he was my oldest grandson, the first grandchild that I, had hands-on experience with and spent a lot of time with. I miss him more than words can say. He was 19 years old, Kerry Baxter Junior, when he was lured to a park here in, I don't live in Oakland, but in Oakland, California, East Oakland. He was lured to a park, San Antonio Park, by two women who he thought were his friends, although one of them was an ex-girlfriend. He trusted them, and to his detriment. He was lured to the park. They asked him to take them to the park, and he drove them down there, and he was waiting for them. And according to the ex-girlfriend, when they got down there, Kerry Junior was waiting in the car or by the car, and her friend made a phone call, and these two guys dressed in black, she said they were black guys, beat up my grandson. I could tell you they beat him up really badly, because even in his coffin, his face was disfigured. So they beat him, this little skinny 19-year-old. He got away and he ran around the corner, and around the corner was a church, San Antonio Church in East Oakland. And this was a Sunday night, mind you. And when he got around the corner, the neighbors said they saw him being chased by this man in dark clothes. And the man just kept shooting. They said there were shells all over the ground. And Carrie, they said that Carrie was weaving in and out. And one of the shots hit him in the back, center mass, and he hit the ground. And they said almost immediately after, a police car, a police van, a black police van showed up. They never called an ambulance or a medic. They left my grandson's body on the ground for about 4 hours before notifying the family. Before I heard about it, I saw it on the news. They were describing him as, a young man, like a teenager or something. Well, he was 19. So, but he was a skinny little kid, and they thought he was younger. Anyway, so they were talking about that that this young man was killed in front of San Antonio Church, and I saw it on the news, and I said, "Wow, this poor family." But I never thought it would be my grandson, because he didn't even like being out, and I couldn't imagine him being at a park at night. And I was in the bed watching the news, and then much later, somebody was banging on the door, just banging, 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 and I didn't open the door. I lived by myself, and I did not trust opening the door because I was, had some harassment from the local police there. But they left, and then I went back to sleep, and around 3 a.m. got a call, and his mother, Kerry Junior, is the son of my son. So his mother called and said that they killed him. They killed Kerry Junior. And the way that she said it was like she knew who she was talking about. And they shot him through the heart, and he's dead. That's what she said. And just my whole world just ended. The world as I knew it, with my grandson, looking forward to seeing him grow up, be a man, and, live his life. It ended on that day. That was January the 11th, 2016, when he was killed. Okay, so from that time on, it was just a blur. Going down to the house, where he lived with his mother, and seeing this girl there who this is the first time I met her. She was the one who lured him to the park, but yet she was at the house when we got there. In other words, the police had not kept her, questioned her, or anything. By the time that we arrived at the house where my grandson lived, she was there. And that was when she told myself and other people that were there, including my sisters, that this lady that was with her, Cece, had got on the phone and called the police, and 2 black men dressed in black came and beat up Lil Carrie. We called him Lil Carrie. And it just didn't make any sense to me. And then she said, "Oh, and I held him while he died. I held him as he died." The neighbors said, "No one held him. He was there. He was running by himself. He was shot. He fell to the ground. And the police let him lay there and never called a medic or ambulance." And she was not there. According to the neighbors, there was no one there when he died that he knew. Okay. There was the priest from the church was there. It's a Catholic church, San Antonio. And there were two other preachers there's two other churches on either side, on either block, both blocks. There's just one in the center, and there's one to the right of the church, and there's a church to the right of the church, and there's a church to the left of the church. So there was like three churches within a couple of blocks, and all those pastors were there, and the police refused to let them give my grandson last rites, and they did not do any questioning until I think it was the next week, because I went down there with the mother, and I went down there with that girlfriend. And the mother, his mother, went in and talked to the police. The girlfriend went in. The police never even addressed me or looked at me. I was just there. They didn't ask me anything about who I was or what I knew. Only the mother and the girlfriend. And this black officer, African-American officer, walked by and spoke to the girl, his ex-girlfriend, and said, do you have any information to give us? And he was laughing. He thought it was funny. And she said, F you. I mean, he called her by her name, and she said, F you. Not like she was afraid, not like she had any respect, like she knew him. And again, this goes back to the fact that they said there were two black men dressed in black who beat up, chased, and ultimately killed my grandson. You know. Anyway, so the reason that I'm sharing this is because it's his birthday. It's been 15 years. The Oakland Police let his case go cold almost immediately. They have not put up, you know how you put up a reward? They haven't put up any reward. I myself made a reward poster and posted it and sent it to the police, because they said I was told to make a poster, send it to the police, and they would put their numbers or whatever on it and return it. I never heard back from the police. I never got anything back from them regarding my grandson. What did my grandson do to those people? What? I have a son, my youngest son. He's incarcerated, and I have been fighting, and online. He'd been incarcerated since 2001, and I have made it no secret that I believe he was unjustly and wrongfully convicted. So I would post information online to show what my investigation showed, to prove that they had set up my son, and in the meantime, while they set him up, have him in prison for something he didn't even do, took him away from his job, his career, his family. He was raising his children, especially Kerry Junior. They were very close. And when they went to look for my son, when they were looking for him, they went to Kerry Junior's school. He was going to middle school, lived in Berkeley, and dragged little Carrie out. He was 10 years old, and traumatized him. That's why I said he was so traumatized. I can't imagine why he would go to that park at night, because he told me that the police were harassing him. The Oakland Police, the same ones that had arrested his son, were laughing at him. They would see him in the streets outside of his other grandmother's house in Oakland, and put their hand, their finger to his head and pull the trigger. and then laugh and say, oh, you're Kerry Senior's son. We're going to do to you what we did to him. In other words, wrongfully convict him, put him in prison or whatever. And he was saying, Grandma, they're going to kill me. I know that the police are going to kill me. And this is what he was saying. And I even, because I lived in another city, took him to stay with me for a whole semester, a whole year of his schooling, to get him out of that environment where they were harassing him. And I personally took him to school, made sure he got there, But then he returned to his mother's place, and they eventually moved back to Oakland. And he was in the year before he was killed, he was living with me. He was staying with me. As soon as he turned 18, he returned to his mother's in Oakland. And I just did not like it. I never felt comfortable with him being there, with them harassing him. And, the fact that his murder was allowed to go cold should be a wake-up call. And for somebody to come in and check the cold cases in Oakland, most of them are like around the age of my grandson. And nobody is, even though Oakland has been under federal, federal monitoring for years, there are still young black men being killed whose cases are allowed to go cold, even with some of the agents, some of the police who are FBI agents there. They don't solve our young people's murders. They're not, and to me, that's suspicious right there. And another thing that I want to say about Oakland is that there are far too many informants in Oakland. They get, as soon as somebody is starting to come to power, they do them like they did Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They start the background stuff. They start following them around, looking for something that they did, so they can blackmail them, or they can threaten them with prison. The same thing they did with the Black Panthers, with Huey Newton, and just going around. And what they've done in Oakland, in my humble opinion, is they have a city that has people walking around who are informants. They're not in prison because they're informants. And if you don't inform, they're going to lock you up, do what they did to my son, who is my youngest son. They wanted him to be an informant. And he said, I would be dead if I did that. I don't want, I don't have any information I can help you with anyway. But I have no interest in being an informant. And they get people who are vulnerable, who want to be out of prison. It doesn't matter what they did. They could have killed, somebody and raped somebody. It doesn't matter. As long as they're willing to be an informant, they will take them out and put them on the streets. And I'm thinking, this is going on in almost all of the urban areas. You're either going to inform or they're going to find you dead. And I wonder if they had that conversation with my grandson, because he said that they were harassing him every time he stepped out of his mother's house. He said they had taken his ID. He had ID. And in order to get a job, you need ID. And he was under the impression that somehow or other the police control the ID. And I told him, the police don't control your ID. I'll take you to the DMV, and we'll get you another ID, and also, help him to get get a driver's license. He said, I want to go to work. I don't want to sit around my mother's house. Well, he had a high school diploma. He had a chance to go to college, And he said, oh, he wanted to wait a year. So then he winds up in the house helping his mother or supporting his mother and not going to college. And so that was my conversation with him about, oh, you've been accepted into a college. You need to go away to college. So the weekend of January the 1st, 2011, we went up to my sister's house and I took little Carrie and my other grandson, Kamani, and my nephew, who was his cousin, was there. And he said, and he was in college in Florida. And he was like, oh, look, Carrie, you got to come with me because, I'll help you get in college. He was going to Bethune-Cookman. And Carrie had already been accepted into a college, so we knew that he was college material. And Carrie said, okay. He said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm leaving here. I'm going to go to Florida with my cousin. He said, you could come and stay with us. We family. And that is the sad part of it, is he was ready to go. He was ready to get his life back on track. He was so gifted, so intelligent and funny. And I just did not see that the last time I saw him. I saw him being sad. And he had really, from the time he was 10 years old and his dad was incarcerated, he was waiting for his dad to come home. We were fighting to have that conviction overturned, and it didn't happen. And that really, seemed to make him angry and make him sad. And the fact that the police came to his school when they were looking for his dad and dragged him out of school, that was depressing. And then they were harassing him on the streets of Oakland. And yes, we wanted him out of Oakland. We wanted him out somewhere where he could just go live his life and find some kind of peace, because our children don't have peace here. These people are hunters. They just hunt our children like they're game. And this has been going on since the first boat landed. And it's time for it to stop. And so, I have given you some of the information I have, but because this is the 15th year and nothing's getting done, his case is still cold. And I want to say also that I have gone down to the police and talked to them directly, and it have been lied to my face. I was told that Carrie was killed by a drive-by shooter when I talked to the people who were in the neighborhood and said that this man in dark clothes was chasing him and shot him and killed him. When the ex-girlfriend said there were two men that came and beat little Carrie and chased him around the corner. That was her testimony to us. And they lied to my face. And then they said, well, the mother doesn't want you talking to us. The mother, that they went and told her that I was impeding their investigation. I talked to her now. She's never said that to me. And I just think the police are lying, And I think that, there's some shit going on that's not right with my grandson's murder. So what I've done, because they don't have a reward up for my grandson to find the person who killed him, why would they? So I have set up a GoFundMe, and it's a memorial fund for Kerry Junior. And the reason that I set it up is because I want to get a private investigator, to pay a private investigator to investigate my grandson's murder. I have asked certain people in the community And I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of people in our community who are just sold out completely and are not interested in the truth if it will make them, interfere with their comfort level or with their relationship with these people who are going around and murdering our children. They don't care. There's nobody in the community that cares. I'm saying nobody in power. Most of the time when somebody gets in power and stays there, they're working against the best interests of the community. Otherwise, they probably would be killed or in prison. That's just the way things are here in what I call America, the Klan state of America. And also, so I set that up, and I want folks to donate. I want folks to pass it around. And what we want is an investigation by someone who is not afraid. It's probably going to be someone from the outside. We have a community where there are people who are running churches who were former drug dealers and who are probably compromised themselves. And they have sheriffs, training people to be policemen in the church. It's part of the church. This is East Oakland, folks. We have no safe place, no hiding place down here. All of the hiding places are taken over. And yes, my grandson his life was taken. He would have been 35 years old today. And in his memory, I'm asking that you all support us, donate, help us to solve this murder and find out who took his life, because only God gives life, and only God should be taking life. I just cannot fathom what kind of mind goes around just shooting and killing innocent, healthy adults. What kind of mind must you have to be that low? I have lived on this earth 79 years, and I haven't had to do anything like that or thought about doing anything like that to another human being. I just cannot imagine the filthy mind that believes that they have the right to take someone's life. But again, what difference is it than what happened when Christ, who was one of our saviors, the prime or the premier savior, was crucified. That's what they do. The good die young. That's what they say. And we need to change that, because that's not godly. Nothing that happens to a human being to make them suffer like that is godly. And I would never believe that God had anything to do with taking the life of my beautiful grandson with the smile that lit up my world. And so I'm going to add the link to this video to the GoFundMe. And please donate. Please share with your within your circles, within your family, even those who may not be online. And let's get justice for my grandson, Kerry Baxter Junior. And thank you, and enjoy. I'm looking forward to seeing Bad Bunny perform. That will lift my spirits today. And surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives. We are going to get there. Like Martin Luther King said, I might not get there with you, but we're going to get there. Take care and much love.